Hello there. I am very excited for this episode because I am going to share my experience and my story with my very first live tapping experience. And it was just absolutely incredible. I felt the shifts happening. So today we are going to talk about what tapping is and how it can improve your life. And I'll also give a few tapping tips and tricks so that you can walk away from this episode feeling like you have the tapping techniques to use in your own daily life and as a practice or ritual for yourself on a daily basis. Now, before we get started, I would love to mention what I am currently offering and inviting women to join. Right now, I'm inviting 6 women to join my 10-week self-love program, Blossom from Within. If you currently have thoughts around, I am not good enough, I am not worthy, I do not deserve love, or if you just constantly feel like you're on this battlefield with yourself and you're trying to get love and bring more love into your life, but it's just been a struggle for you, I am so excited to share with you that I have what you are looking for. When you say yes to this program, you get the option to have 10 one-on-one coaching sessions with myself, and also you have lifetime access to the program, plus a self-love community Facebook group. As your coach, I will be there to support you, guide you, and lead you to a beautiful transformation where love just infinitely blooms within you. And I'm so excited to get this journey started. So if you are feeling like this resonates with you and you feel called to do so, please send me a message on my Instagram at blissfully.bloom. And you can book a discovery call on my page or just message me that you're interested, and I will be happy to give you more information about the program. Oh, I know that you're feeling ready to start, but let's listen to this short sponsorship ad before getting started.
Hello, gorgeous. Welcome to Blissfully Bloom. I'm Tori, your host, and this podcast was created to inspire women to transform their mindset, blossom from within, and be unafraid to be their authentic selves. Get ready to grow, evolve, and bloom.
All right, so to begin this episode, let's first dive into what tapping is and what it's used for. So, tapping is also known as Emotional Freedom Technique, or EFT, and it's an alternative treatment for physical pain and emotional distress. It's also referred to as tapping or psychological acupressure. And people who use this technique believe that tapping the body can create a balance in your energy system and treat pain. Tapping draws on the ancient Chinese practice of acupuncture, which teaches that the body's energy travels along specific pathways. Certain points on these pathways are stimulated to improve the flow of your energy. The stimulation is done by inserting very thin needles, acupuncture, or applying pressure, acupressure. And so many people actually use tapping to reduce their stress levels, to really dig into their subconscious and change their limiting beliefs so that they can be on a whole new dimension than they were before. Some of the advantages of using this practice is that it's painless and very inexpensive because it's quite free if you're not paying for a practitioner. It's easy to do, and there's less time consuming than other types of therapy. So you don't have to really travel anywhere. You can do it in your home. You can do it while you're parked in a car. I wouldn't do it while you're driving. So it's very accessible and user-friendly. Using EFT tapping has been used to treat mental health conditions such as depression, PTSD, phobias. It can also said to lower your heart rate, blood pressure, lower levels of cortisol, and that is a hormone associated with your stress. So you can see why people use it to really allow their stress levels to be decreased. I will share some tips and tricks that I have learned after I share my story with this live tapping experience. So I don't remember exactly where I found it, but I think I was scrolling through Facebook one day and stumbled upon this ad, and it said something like change your life with this 1 hour tapping experience. And I've heard of tapping before, but I honestly didn't really know what it was about. I never really practiced it myself. And so this was going to be my first time ever doing something like this. So I kind of had to trust my intuition, trust my gut that I landed on this ad for some particular reason. And this beautiful soul, Jennifer Partridge, actually offered a 1 hour free tapping session to over 200 participants. So that was just an amazing experience. You can feel all of the energy whenever I entered. As soon as you entered the Zoom room, it's not like we were there in person, like you probably would feel the energy a little bit better. But as a collective, as we were doing this holistic practice together, you can really feel the wholeness of the community in the Zoom session. And I just thought it was an absolute beautiful experience. And I'm so glad that I just trusted my gut and went with my heart, because I truly did shift some blocks that were inside of me, and probably some that I didn't even realize were still there. Now, what she did was first we kind of settled in, and she took us through a little meditation, some breath work to really calm ourselves and get in to a centered moment, a centered presence. First, she invited us to say an intention for the tapping experience. So, what did we want to get out of the tapping experience? What was the purpose of our being here? And for me, what came up was abundance, the word abundance and love. And whenever I think of an intention, I really just settle in and I don't think about it too much. I just allow whatever words that are present and automatically pop up to choose the ones that my heart kind of sunk in with. And so abundance and love were mine. After that, after we stated our intention, then we began the tapping. Now, we went through and started tapping our heart center first by our chest, and it's kind of like the center where your collarbones meet. From what I got out of it, because I'm not an experienced tapper for sure, but how she ran it through was she chose a statement for us, kind of a fill in the blank scenario. So she says, right now I am struggling with, and then she says, tell me what you're struggling with, and repeat it out loud. I said right now, and I kept tapping and closed my eyes as she told us to do so. And I said, right now I am struggling with finding and creating abundance in my life. She also noted that as we were doing this experience, that we were going to be triggered throughout, and to really stick with it, because as you are bringing up what is not working in your life, sometimes that can trigger you and make you feel all the emotions that you sometimes suppress. And it can be really intense if you've never done anything like this before, because it can bring up the emotions. And this is really allowing yourself to process all the emotions, allowing yourself to feel through the process, so that these emotions that you once suppressed can be released. And she really advised us to allow whatever emotions pop up and whatever emotions are associated with whatever situation you are in right now, to be in it, to let yourself feel it and remember what it's like, because it's almost like a memory. And the more that you put yourself in certain situations, say for my abundance situation, the more that I feel like I'm not abundant and I don't have abundance in my life and I'm lacking, then I will know what that feels like. I know that I have this sunkenness feeling in my heart. My chest tightens. I feel sad. I feel disconnected and lonely. And so those emotions were really settling in whenever she brought us through this experience. I honestly wish I would have remembered everything that she brought us through, but basically, you can kind of picture each part of our bodies that we went through, each kind of pressure point that we started tapping. Every single time that we moved, it was almost as if we were telling a story to ourselves and really allowing ourselves to express what we were feeling and what we were struggling with. And for an example, if we were to start tapping on our chest, right now, I am struggling with finding abundance. This makes me feel like I am lacking something. So you state what you are struggling with, and you also make sure that you mention how it makes you feel. And you kind of take yourself through this experience and really allow yourself to get into the nitty gritty details. And what happens is throughout the tapping process, we go through our chest and then we go and tap the top of our heads. She gives you another statement to complete, and it's kind of a fill in the blank sentence. And basically, the first time that we did this, I found that I was overthinking it, and I was like, oh my gosh, what word should I do? But if you just trust your gut, you trust your heart, and you go with the first word, normally that's kind of what is meant to be. So you go through your top of your head, and then we tap on our eyebrow, the side of the eye, under the nose, the chin, the collarbone, under the arm, the ribs. We go through all of those points, and through each point, we are going through a story, a narrative. And at first, the narrative is what we are struggling with. It's how it makes us feel, really diving into what went on during that time. What were the details of it? Because here's what you're struggling with. You go through what you're struggling with, and you kind of go and take yourself to what do you want? What is possible for your life? What you want to manifest and bring into your life. And then you take yourself back to that struggling scenario and you give it love. You embrace it with your compassion, your unlimited peace and forgiveness, and realize that you are filled with so much potential. And that past thing that hurt you in the past or that you're struggling with, it doesn't have to be what defines you. And you don't have to let that hold you back, because it's basically an appreciative time, an appreciative response that, hey, I appreciate the struggle, I appreciate the lessons that I've learned, but I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to evolve, and I'm ready to manifest what I want in my life. So then you go and bring yourself back through all of tapping the head, tapping the eyebrow, the side of the eye, under the nose, chin, collarbone, the ribs, the side of the ribs. And throughout each of the statements, you bring yourself to what you want to create, what you want for your life instead. And what's really, really powerful is what she did. And I will give you an example of kind of how it's structured. But what she did was, throughout the tapping experience, she brought us to a past situation. And I felt like the reason why I wasn't getting the abundance in my life that I was searching for was because I always thought that I wasn't good enough. I was never going to be enough to achieve my dreams, be successful, have a life of my own terms, and be aligned to the life that I see for myself and that I envision. And she brought us back to a time in our lives during the tapping experience. And she says, go to a time in your life where you were a child, because most of the time, what you are feeling now, what you are blocked by now, it stems from something that happened before. And everything that you are experiencing now, if you feel these blocks now, it's because those blocks started when we were a child, and we haven't done anything to unleash those blocks. And so in this experience, this was our opportunity to unblock the blocks that we have been experiencing for all these years. And one of mine was, I'm not good enough. And so I brought myself back to a time in my life where oh my goodness, I struggled so hard with math. And since my parents were already divorced during that time, I wanted to please them. I wanted to make them happy, and I wanted them to be proud of me. So, I just thought, well, I need to get good grades and make them happy, but I just struggled with math. So I tied in this math. It wasn't just about the math. It was, I wanted to make my parents proud. I wanted them to be filled with light that I was their daughter. But since I was not getting the grades that I wanted to show them, I felt like that made me a failure. And that made me not good enough as a person, as a woman, as a child. And I carried that belief with me, and it's been holding me back. And I just felt so much relief after this experience. And I'm so glad that I brought myself there, because oftentimes it's so hard to go back to your past and remember those feelings and being triggered. That is hard work. And that is doing the inner work. It's being willing to go back, recognize what you lacked, if you weren't supported, if you didn't get the love, if you didn't get that praise that you were looking for, but realizing that you can be your own supporter, be your own parent, be your own love. And that's what I realized during this experience. So I'm going to run through and read a section of Discover Your Dharma by Sahara Rose. In this book, Sahara says that tapping is one of her favorite techniques for reprogramming the subconscious mind and aligning it with higher thoughts that better serve your growth. So it's actually an emotional freedom technique, as we discussed. So you're using your fingers to tap. And when you tap with your fingertips on specific energy points, it will make you think about your issue and voice positive affirmations so that you clear the short circuit emotional block from your body's bioenergy system, allowing you to overcome any emotional issue. And what she says here, her advice is, when tapping, it's important to address what you're actually feeling in the moment and then speak the positive affirmations to overcome that feeling. And it doesn't matter if you believe in the positive affirmations yet or not, because she says that it's going into your subconscious anyway, and it's best to speak them aloud to contradict those feelings and those beliefs that you originally had that are limiting. And also, here's another important point that I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I wanted to make sure that I do. It's important that you speak these affirmations aloud, not just in your mind, but aloud. And basically, you want to take yourself through the current issue before going into the positive affirmations so that the energy disruptions are related to it arise. So to actually tap, what you want to do, take your fingertips and start tapping repeatedly on the areas that are mentioned while repeating these statements aloud, and bring the emotion with it. That's one of the important parts you have to remember, is to make sure that it's an experience. It's not just you stating these statements and you still being in that mindset of suppressing the emotions, because no transformation is going to happen that way. You have to be willing to bring the emotions with it. So in her example, I will do, oh, this is a very, very good one. She gives an example with anxiety tapping. Oh, before we get into this, the examples that I'm giving now, you can really construct them into your own, into what resonates with you and what aligns with you. You can really, if you want, create a little document of different tapping statements and positive affirmations to go with them so that you can come back to them and have it as a resource for you. And always, you can always edit it as you go, revise it, change it up. But one of Sahara's examples is anxiety tapping. So you start with the top of your head and you tap there. And I mean, you can literally tap all around your head, all around it. Even though, and then say out loud, even though I have so many thoughts and I'm worried I'll never find my purpose, and then you tap your eyebrow, I completely love and accept myself. And then you go to the side of the eye, say aloud, I know these thoughts are guiding me somewhere and are guiding me towards my purpose. And you go under the eye, nothing is wrong with me and I am exactly where I need to be. Under the nose, I will use my thoughts towards my creativity. The chin, I have nothing to worry about and I am completely on track. Collarbone, I am grounded and anchored in my truth. Under the arm, I am in alignment with my Dharma. Wow, so beautiful. Dharma tapping, this was her way to describe it. Yeah, tapping for your Dharma. But if you want to work on anxiety and you have a specific situation that is making you feel a certain way, making you feel anxious, overwhelmed, stressed, yeah, you can start at the top of your head. Even though I have so many anxious thoughts and I am worried and I am feeling like I will always be stressed, eyebrow, I know that this too shall pass. Side of the eye. These thoughts are there, but I am not my thoughts. Under the eye. My anxiety does not define me, and I am exactly where I need to be. Under the nose. I will use my thoughts to create more positivity and relaxation in my life. Chin. I have nothing to worry about, and I am completely aligned with my truth. Collarbone. I am grounded and centered in this moment. Under the arm, I am free from anxiety. So you see how I just took Sahara's anxiety tapping, which she used in the book, and I edited it. I changed up the wording. I changed up the sentence structures. You can use whatever resonates with you. Now, this just really, after this experience, I'm just so interested in it. And I really want to learn more about it because as a coach, I mean, it is so important to continue working on your mindset, to continue overcoming those blocks, those energetic blocks, the limiting beliefs that are holding you back so that you can really step into a whole new level, a whole new version of yourself that, was just waiting to be transformed and waiting to arise and rise with you. Now, before we go, I really wanted to share a few more things about my experience in the live tapping Zoom session that I had last night. At one point, she brought us back to that time, like I said, in my childhood. While we were there, we had a chance for our higher selves to be present in that exact moment. And she was there to send us messages. And what's really magical about this experience is you can have so many downloads, so many messages from your guides while you are tapping. It's just being willing to listen to them and allow them to guide you along the way. But one of the messages that I received from my higher self was love heals. And I just thought that was so beautiful because for so long I had my heart closed off and I didn't feel like I deserved love or feel like I was worthy of love. But finally, after tonight, I can finally feel all of these positive affirmations to ourselves because Jennifer said one of them, I am worthy of blank. And one that I kept coming up to is I am worthy of love. And throughout the tapping experience, I probably stated that to myself about 50 times. And at first, it felt like it wasn't my truth. But then towards the end, I really started to see my situation back in my childhood and look at it in a whole new different light. Because beforehand, I was only seeing my eyes, my perspective, but I didn't take into account, what my mom was going through or what my dad was going through at that time. They were probably hurting or in pain. Even though I was hurting or in pain too, they were still probably feeling the same feelings that I was feeling. And so it's being willing to forgive yourself and others through that point, especially forgiving yourself because that narrative of I am not good enough or I do not deserve love, that limits you. That limits the amount of love that you experience on a daily basis. And yeah, just being willing to give yourself grace and stepping into a whole new lighted version of yourself. And after that night, I definitely felt it for the first time in a long time. Because it's one thing saying I am worthy of love, but then it's another thing feeling it and actually truly believing it. I felt the energetic blocks move through me, and I can't say that I am fully healed from that, but it is definitely lessened. If I were to rate it, because we did rate ourselves on a scale of 1 to 10, what is this past situation? How does it make you feel? How much does it trigger you into, your blockage or the overwhelm or stress or anxiety, whatever it makes you feel? How much does it trigger you and impact you? And my number at first was a 7. And then by the end of the session, I scaled it and rated it on a 3. So there was definitely some energetic blocks that moved, and I felt it and I experienced it. If tapping is something that you are interested in, I say go for it. Let me know in the comments what you think of it, what's your experience, what you loved about it, any tips or tricks you can give, because I'm all down. I plan on tapping at least once a week and maybe making this a daily practice, but I am just mind blown by how transformative it was. And also, if you are curious about the live tapping experience and you want to experience it for yourself, if you look up Jennifer Partridge tapping experience on Google, or even she probably has an Instagram, you can find out more information whenever she offers more tapping sessions so that you can join in on the next one. I will surely be there. But such an amazing talk today, and I cannot wait for the next episode. Bye. Thank y'all so much for listening. I am just so blessed and grateful for y'all's support. And if you haven't gotten the chance, please subscribe to this podcast and share it with your friends and family. Also, check out my YouTube channel, Blissfully Bloom. It's all about self-growth, self-love, and self-healing. I will see y'all in the next episode. Bye!